some people call it a religion. Some people say it's not a religion. But what the Buddha experienced was that there was a lot of suffering in life. Yes, perfect.
I hope.
Yes, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, the Buddha taught that life is suffering, and some people say, well, that's a very pessimistic view. But he went beyond that. There are what they're called the Five Noble Truths.
You talk right.
There are five noble truths. Let me see if I can remember all five of them. The first one is life is suffering.
Yeah.
The second one is there is a way out of suffering. Oh gosh, am I going to remember all of them? And he taught the way. Can't remember all five of them, but he said, life is suffering, but there is a way to overcome suffering. And that's what his teachings were about. And what he would do is he went around India. He lived mainly in India. He went around India, and people would gather around him, and that's how the Buddhist, let's call it a religion, some people call it a religion, started, is that people heard him, and he brought peace into their minds. And so what he's teaching is that our mind, the way we think, is how we experience life. And sometimes we just think, oh, I wake up in the morning and I'm angry, or I wake up in the morning and I'm not happy with my job. I'm not happy I don't have enough money. I'm not happy with my child. I'm not happy with my parents, my wife, my husband, whatever. And he taught that does not have to be that way. You can control your mind. You can train your mind such that experiences out there are not going to affect you. It's what you have inside your head, inside your mind, inside your heart that will dictate how you feel. And that's what he taught. He said, I came to teach two things. I came to teach suffering and the end of suffering. Those are the only two things he taught. And he was enlightened in this place called Bodh Gaya in India. And for 45 years after that, he roamed around India and taught people and had many followers. Question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
There are people I've met, and I've heard of Buddhism before.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of Buddhism before. And there are people I've met, and they say, no. Buddhism is satanic. What do you say?
Well, I mean, some people might think that because he maybe doesn't believe about God the way they believe about God, and therefore they might say he's representing Satan. He didn't have any belief in Satan. He believed that everyone is a good person.
Yes.
Everyone is capable of having love in their heart for their fellow people. First of all, love yourself, and secondly, be able to love those around you. But if someone had said that to him in his day, and they probably said something like that, he would have said, well, if you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. You can go. He says, this is what I believe. Practice it. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, go do something else. So he didn't say, I am the one and the only. And he never taught he was like Jesus. He never taught like, I am the Savior, follow me. He said, I'm just a student like you, but I'm more advanced. I've done these things, and I've overcome suffering. And you can too.
Yes.
But I think Jesus taught the same way. He says, do what I do and experience what I experience, didn't he? Yeah. So Buddhism has monks. They're called bhikkhu. No, wait, what are they called? Bhikkhus are the nuns. I can't think what the monks are called. But they're people who've renounced. They don't get married. They don't have a family. They don't handle money. So they will go out every morning on what's called alms, ALMS rounds, and collect food. And people will give it. When I lived in Thailand, I used to see it all the time. And women would get down on their knees like you do here and give these monks food. Yeah. And to them it was their chance to give, to support Buddhism in that way, to support the monks, because the monks are the ones that live in the what are they called? Not ashrams. That live in the monasteries that keep the Buddhism alive. So people are happy to give, and they talk about the three jewels of Buddhism. One is the Buddha himself, what he taught. Second is the Dharma, what it is he taught. And the third is the Sangha, which is the community of believers. So it would be like a church. It's called the Sangha. And that's the triple jewel, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha.
Okay.
It's very nice.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Your experience.
Yeah. I haven't gone yet myself, but I met Bhante is his name. He's a Ugandan.
So, I don't know. I just want to know, when did Buddhism start?
I think it was like 500 years before
Oh.
Jesus.
BC.
BC, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but
I used to think Buddhism started maybe 10 years ago.
oh yeah.
Oh.
No. But they also believed, Buddhists believed that there were other people besides the Buddha who were, they call it enlightened. And what
Yeah.
enlightened means is you have an experience, you have no more suffering because you understand what life is. It's like you don't let, I could say, oh, it's raining. Oh, I'm so bummed out. It's raining. It's raining.
It's raining, yeah.
It's raining. The sun is shining. It's hot. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Rather than complain about it.
Yeah. You have to appreciate.
Yeah, and accept.
Yes, and
Accept what is.
the way it is.
Yeah, you don't reject things. It's like what makes us angry. It's when like we don't accept what is. Oh, this dirt. Oh my God, I don't want to sit in the dirt. It's the dirt. Sit in the dirt.
Flow with the vibe.
Exactly. Flow with the vibe. Sorry, Mary. Flow with the vibe.
Flow with the vibe.
But anyway, I really like it, and there's a lot of things on YouTube. There's a lot of things written
Yes.
that study it. I mean, to me, we all must make a living. We must have enough money to live and so forth. But what is life really about if not to find peace, internal peace?
Yeah.
And if we're peaceful, we spread peace to those around us.
Sure. I'm so happy. I'm really very happy to have a clue about
Yeah.
Buddhism.
And I just know a little,
Yeah.
but that's a start for you.
Yeah. At least I have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much more available. We're so lucky to have the internet today and YouTube.
Yes.
There's all kinds of people, Buddhists, speaking on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know,
to
you can-
enlighten the
Yeah.
the world.
And there's people from all over the world. Like Bhante, the guy I'm telling you about in Uganda, he has YouTube videos. You could even hear him. He's a good man,
Yeah.
very good man. And his mother, she's probably my age. She's a nun at his monastery there outside in Entebbe.
Okay.
She's a beautiful woman. She doesn't speak English, but somebody interpreted for me. She's a very sweet, peaceful woman. She's probably, like I say, my age,
Yeah.
but just very
Peaceful.
gentle and peaceful and very nice heart.
Yes.
So it's all very
So,
good.
you also have something to ask. You were called Jackie. This is what I tell you. You are so papa about the young from the radio. Okay. I was asking whether she has any question
Mm-hmm.
about what we have been discussing
Right.
about Buddhism. She says no.
That's good. Have you ever heard of Buddhism, Mary? Oh.
She has ever had.
Yeah.
You know, Buddhism, it's practiced but in big cities.
Yes, and this is another thing I was going to say. You can be a Christian and still be a Buddhist. There are Christians who are very strong Christians and they follow Buddhism because Buddhism is training your mind. It's not like
Think positively.
yes, and think in such a way that you experience joy in your life rather than upset and anger.
Yes.
So people can be Christians and still follow Buddhism.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons I want to go to India, is to be around what they call the Sangha, the community, where there's a bunch of people, and there would be a monk that will, like Bhante, he gives lectures 2 or 3 times a week. He gives lessons, and he's been a monk for many, many years. So it's important to be around those communities. When I was living in Mexico last year, there was an American man at my age, and he'd been a Buddhist for many years, and he would give classes every day. It's wonderful.
So now I want us to talk about, I would love to know about your experience
Which experience?
in Africa.
In Africa.
So you're here in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I lived in Nairobi for 9 months,
9 months.
about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been to Ghana, I've been to Togo, but only for like short trips.
Yeah.
And then just before I came to Kampala, I lived for 3 months in Kigali in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to Rwanda. I had a who was married to a Rwandan woman, and she told me great things about her. She was there during the genocide,
Yeah.
and but she told me good things about it. So I decided to go to Rwanda this time. But after spending 90 days there, I said I must go to Uganda. I've never been to Uganda, and I'm so happy I came.
Yeah. You love Uganda.
I love Uganda much more. Rwanda is nice because it's clean, it's safe, it's sanitary, it's
Yeah.
all of those things. But it's also, it seems to have lost its soul.
Mm.
You come to Uganda and you have things like this, and you have people in the village, and maybe that's somewhere in Rwanda, but it's certainly not in Kigali.
Yeah.
It's too much like the U.S. It's too much like America to me.
Okay.
And
You would prefer this.
I prefer this very much because
Yeah.
this reminds me of what my youth was. When
Yeah.
I mean, till I was 18, I lived in the country like this.